oqqobbo.
Abiotic Factor is a nerd emoji, forklift, cooking and pooping simulator, another bastard child from the four horsemen of the indie game apocalypse, early access, survival crafting, base building, oqqobbo. But what makes this one special? Imagine the cast of The Big Bang Theory thrown into the world of Half-Life 1. Except without the literal plot armor, where the only thing preventing their untimely demise is their raw intellect and preemptive self-defense. You and your fellow colleagues make up the newest scientific group at GATE, a totally ethical research and development facility. Probably the best on Earth.
If there's even an Earth after the incident.
GATE's mission? Their methods? Questionable. But I hear the benefits are good.
Do you like what you see?
Unfortunately, orientation is cut short.
Looks like I gotta check on some situation topside.
Because somehow, somewhere, something bad happened.
Oh my god, it's loose.
Run, Janet.
The exits are blocked off. The security? Fucking useless.
Don't look at me.
Our only objective is to go to the surface. There's no help coming. We can only hope for the best, but hope is illogical. We're not optimists, we're scientists. This place isn't exactly a Bass Pro Shops. To get out of here, we have to get creative. Can a group of feeble, horrified Poindexters live to see the sunlight? That's just another problem to be solved. Applying the scientific method, we ask, what happens when your backs are up against the wall and you have nothing to defend yourself except experimental tech made by the brightest minds in the world and office supplies? My hypothesis? Something is gonna die. At the time of writing this, the game is only on its first iteration of early access. From what's available so far, this game is really good. Superb, in fact. That being said, at its current state, the game has an impressive amount of content. I've sunk over 30 hours into Abiotic Factor, and I feel like I really haven't even explored everything that the game has to offer. Maybe my expectations were low, but I was pretty positive this game was going to be dog water. If the future updates are as good as what we have now, this game would be one hell of a banger, and let's pray they don't mess this up. Abiotic Factor feels great playing solo. Since it's more narrative driven, you can really take your time to sneak through the halls. It's a lot better paced than other games in the survival crafting genre. There's a really good flow between scavenging, base building, and combat. But just because there's an I in science doesn't mean that there's an I in healthy teamwork and workplace culture. For my playthrough, I want you to meet the think tank. There's Grongies, our defense analyst. His area of study is the relationship between organic material and high velocity inorganic materials, namely things like bullets. Alk, our phytogenetic botanist, who much prefers talking to his plants rather than his colleagues. Some may see his misanthropy as a weakness. I think of it as a tactical advantage. Do it again. The most valuable thing we can give him is our, in scientific terms,
Doo-doo feces.
Uh-oh, I made a stinky. Uh-oh. Oh.
Duke,
Let's get cooking.
our somatic gastronomist, but we call him the cook.
I'm the cook.
Between dodging bullets and carrying refrigerators, I can professionally say our tummies are grumbling. From alien steak, slushy soup, root beer floats, he does it all. Then there's Vinny. He only played with us one time and he spent most of that time AFK.
So like, what do we do in this game?
Then there's me, the Archotechnic consultant. Bless our mess. I turn this hellhole into a hell home, building barricades, traps, and decorations, supplying power to our stations. I'm there to manage our resources. We all have a role to play. You don't need a peer-reviewed thesis to know that if you get a bunch of eggheads together, something is gonna hatch. You can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs. And by omelet, I mean
Weapons of war.
And by eggs, I mean
War crimes.
Geneva? I hardly knew ya. Thermal mallets, magnetic-assisted firearms, slushy grenades, the vacuum from Luigi's mansion.
Hold up. You're a catch.
We got a whole arsenal. We'll become the next Manhattan Project. We aren't just building weapons of mass destruction. We are the weapons of mass destruction.
In the name of science.
Lost to people pride.
Go, get his ass.
Most people were silent. I remembered the line from the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. He should do his duty, and to impress him,
This one's gonna hurt.
Takes on its multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, to destroy worlds."
Okay, let's get the theatrics and hyperbole out of the way. As I said earlier, this game borrows a ton of influence from Half-Life 1. So much so that I can see this more as a what-if scenario. It's kind of genius, actually. We're not action heroes, we're instead the hapless scientists stuck in this godforsaken place. We can barely hold a crowbar, and we can't even hold a gun right. No, we're forced to invent and MacGyver our way out of this situation. Our muscles are soft and our bodies are weak, but our mind is our greatest strength. So when we start our adventure, we're met with the character customization. And I have to say, the drip is immaculate. You don't need a doctorate in fashion to know that this shit goes kinda hard. I think the saddest part about this game being in early access is that there's no facial hair yet. I really wanted to make a Neil deGrasse Tyson fit, but it'll have to wait.
How do you know, bitch?
After that, we choose our area of study. It looks like Gate supports all types of science, from botany, medicine, to getting fucking jacked at the gym. Your area of study only affects two things. Your starting skills, which gives you a good foundation for your playstyle. Don't feel like you're locked into a specific role. You're gonna end up leveling up other things anyway. So who's to say that a chef can't pick up a Glock? The second thing that it affects is your skill points, which you can exchange for permanent upgrades and permanent debuffs. I think this is the weakest part of the character customization so far. Not every buff is created equal. For example, the perk that gives you several bandages is a complete waste of a slot. Bandages are one of the most simplest things that you can make, and trust me, you're gonna have a lot of them. In my personal opinion, it's best to take perks like the fanny pack, and the one that increases carry weight. Our curiosity is the second most dangerous thing we have to worry about.
Watch this.
I must say, I am feeling a bit under the weather.
Your accent changed. As we have to fight the urge to see if we can survive a jump or not, the first thing we have to worry about is what's outside. Meet the entities. These are extraterrestrial. They're aliens. They're aliens that have been pouring out of mysterious wormholes that are opening up all across the facility. When you first encounter them, you're met with these little hedgehog guys that spin dash towards you. You'll quickly learn that taking them head on is a quick way to embarrass yourself, but a well-timed net makes short work of them.
Stomp them.
Or these dogs. Fuck these dogs. I'm almost 30 hours into this game, and I still think these are the hardest enemies you'll encounter. They're really fucking fast and they pack a punch. You gotta learn how to bob and weave around them and use a net to disable their bite, buying you just enough time to get a few hits in. You have the physique of a soy jack, and these guys are here to remind you. Every enemy is like this. If you take them one-on-one, you're an idiot, and you're probably going to be a dead idiot. But if you use your wits and resources, you're gonna come out on top. They forced you in a self-defense situation, and you're willing to go through hundreds, if not thousands of aliens to make sure that you're okay. You gotta show them that this is your planet, and this is not 100% the consequences of your actions. You don't have to just think like a genius, you have to fight like one too. But let me ask you, what's more dangerous than an alien? How about an alien with a gun?
They have blasters now?
Now let me ask you, what's more dangerous than an alien with a gat?
Radiation poisoning.
Sometimes it's your fellow man. Meet the Order. If God's punishing us for our hubris, the Order is the guillotine. They have us outnumbered and outgunned, and for some reason they also speak Latin. This army of Redditors aren't taking any prisoners, and they're also taking no chances. So how do you take them head on? You really don't. Fortunately for us, they're also stuck in here with the aliens. Sometimes a nudge in the right direction is all you need to get out. Not a lot is known about these guys yet, but their lore is genuinely interesting. I'm excited to see them evolve in future updates. Plus, they drop some of the coolest hats. As we try to fight our way to the surface, we meet our fellow survivors.
You're a real pal, you know that?
Through the chaos and confusion, you start picking up these rumors. Talk of a way out. A bulk of your journey is following a breadcrumb trail going from section to section, room to room, vent to vent, portal to portal, to fight off these guys that we may or may not have been exploiting. But Rome wasn't built in a day. Experiments require a lot of patience, and patience is a luxury. You're gonna have to make a base or two to store your spoils. You're gonna need a place to rest, to cook, a place to craft. Most of your nutrition is achieved from a diet of potato chips and meat, but honestly that sounds like my diet now. You're gonna have to find enough water and soda to sustain yourself.
Cheers to that. Pressure up on the boys.
I'll
And of
drink to
course,
that.
you're gonna have to relieve your bodily needs every so often. But despite being underground, there's still a day and night cycle. Every night at exactly 9 o'clock, the facility goes lights out, where most of the power is turned off, including the central heating. Sure, Gate may be harboring world-devastating secrets, but at least they care about their carbon emissions. Nighttime is dark, dangerous, and uncomfortable. Explore at your own risk. Sometimes there are going to be random night raids that'll occur. These typically happen at the base of your operations. These also can't be slept through, so good luck. I think this game really shines in its clear progression system and level design. Most other open world survival crafting games have these huge overworlds that feel overwhelming. Let's take Ark for example. Ark takes place on this sprawling island that spans literal miles. A map this big functions more like a sandbox. What ends up happening is that things tend to roam around with or without you. At a moment's notice, you can just get attacked by a dinosaur that feels like it really shouldn't be there. You're at the mercy of RNG and just whatever the world has to throw at you. In these games, you're encouraged to explore and get lost, but what ends up happening is that you need to look up a wiki. Alternatively, the Gate facility is a meticulously crafted labyrinth with clear puzzles for you to overcome. The enemies ramp up in difficulty to reflect your intended power level. This isn't something necessarily special to Abiotic Factor, but I think it achieves this clear progression much better than games in the same genre. At no point playing this did I ever feel frustrated enough to look up where to go or how to progress. This level of execution and world design is something that you'd see from games like System Shock or Prey. And those influences are seen everywhere. Let me tell you an example of the killer game design. At some point you're going to want to craft a repair bench, but the key component is an anvil. You could just wander around and hope to stumble across one, but if you actually take your time to snoop around, you can come across these computers that have emails in it. They offer insight to what Gate was doing before your arrival. There's a lot of flavor text, witty banter between the coworkers, information about the world around you and the entities that you're encountering. But lots of times they hold key information that you'll only know if you took the time to read them. Anyway, you learn that the anvils are being held in the storage room upstairs. Seems simple, right? But in the very beginning, you notice that there are these vents behind you. As you go through each one, you notice that one of them is blocked by an imposing fan. Seems impassable, right?
Are you dead?
Well, remember what I said about the day and night cycle? How most of the power goes off? Well, most players would be encouraged to just sleep the night off. But if you come back here during nighttime, you actually get early access to the anvil, giving you one of the best crafting benches on your first night. And it's not just stuff like this either, right? You can build your way up to certain places. I've seen people online getting really creative with the level design. I just think that's really cool. Exploration and creative platforming is not only rewarded, but it's encouraged. Whole segments can be tackled if you just use your noggin. And speaking of your noggin, I'm going to talk about the game's interesting crafting system. Sometimes when your character picks up a key item, instead of getting recipes automatically, or having to spend points to unlock them, you play this mini game where you have to invent the device in your head. Your character is literally conceptualizing what materials makes the most sense. Sleeping and defecating also have little mini games. They take these mundane tasks and make it just a little bit more engaging. One thing that really surprised me though is that the hacking doesn't have a minigame to go with it. Every game that has a hacking minigame. If there's any developers listening to this video, I highly suggest an obnoxious hacking minigame. Maybe something you can do with pipes or rotating blocks. Everyone would love that. Oh, and add fishing. But I think things like this really add to the overall charm. There are a lot of smaller mechanics that I really wasn't able to explore. You can domesticate some of the aliens. You can make cheese, you can set up ramps and bridges to bend the world to your convenience. But not only that, but when you make a new world, you can adjust things like the spawn rates. Things like item degradation, you can tweak the survival mechanics. All this is in place so you can curate your player experience. You can make the game as intense or as relaxed as you want.
God damn, this game is cool.
I didn't know this while I was playing the game, but the developers actually worked on Unfortunate Spacemen, which is one of my favorite social deduction games out there. Alright, there we go. A lot of people describe that as Among Us with guns.
There are spies among us.
Oh, he's annoying.
And that's pretty accurate. That game had a lot of charm, a lot of interesting mechanics.
Let's start shooting.
Okay.
Please.
And it was genuinely fun. I wish Unfortunate Spacemen picked up like Among Us did, but what can you do? That alone just gives me hope that these guys won't mess it up. In short, this game has a ton of potential. Its first wave of early access has a lot of substance. My only hope is that they actually work on the game and make the other parts just as good as what we got now. But overall, I love this game. I'm gonna come out and say it. I'm a sucker for these early access survival crafting games, and I'm tired of pretending that they're bad for gaming. I know a majority of them end up being mediocre, but it's a drug, man. I think games like these fulfill a power fantasy of being close to your friends. I just want to hop on call with the boys, and I want to make a little house to come home to after a day of killing indiscriminately. Yeah, that's kind of it. I didn't really go into depth about the story of the game, or the long journey to see the end. But I'm not exaggerating when I say I love this game. When the 1.0 comes out, I promise I'll make a much longer video, doing like a whole review from beginning to end. And hopefully by that time I'll have like 30 million subscribers. And speaking of subscribers, if you guys want to help me reach that goal, feel free to support me. This is my 3rd video on this channel, and I think I'm really starting to get this whole content creation thing. This is the first video in a while where I actually felt comfortable scripting, voicing, and editing. My last 2 videos I had no idea what I was doing, so the ball is rolling. If you actually made it this far, I want to thank you so much. Making videos is really fun, and I don't think I'll stop having fun anytime soon. So if you guys really enjoyed this, that means the world to me. So yeah, I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you so much. Next video soon. I try to do a video every month. So yeah, I'm oqqobbo, and I'll catch you later.